Hey, everybody, live from the On Target Podcast studios in beautiful Maitland/Orlando, Florida. It's the Tom Squared Tech Talk Podcast with your hosts, Tom Jelnick and Tom Craig. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Tom Jelnick and
Tom Craig.
Hey, we're pleased as punch to be back here with you. It's a Friday, Tom, and it is kind of hotter than hell outside.
I know, and I'm excited that we're headed out on the boat. You said that we were going out this afternoon, so I've got my boots, got my fishing pole, and I'm all set to go.
I've got the yacht all gassed up here at the marina.
All righty.
I love saying that, gassed up.
Yep. So, but I see you don't have your fishing pole. Did I misunderstand the?
You may have gotten the wrong version of that memo today, Tom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry that kind
about
of fishing.
That. Yeah.
Okay.
So today's show, and just for if you just tuned in to the Tom Squared Tech Talk podcast, our mission is simple. We want to take the geekdom out of all things tech. So, if you want to learn about social media, you want to learn about your home network and how to keep that safe, my good friend Tom Craig here with Advanced System Solutions and myself, we're here to break it down for you, to make it easy and simple.
That's right. That's what we like to do, is take technology and put it into words that you can understand, just like you said, Tom. And so today we want to talk about phishing.
We do.
And those people who are trying to impersonate others or just fool us into giving up our information.
This ain't no salmon fishing, Tom.
Well, I think that'd be a little bit more fun and a lot less troublesome for our listeners.
I think it would. And listen, folks, there is very disturbing, there's a disturbing feeling in the force. On the interwebs. And it's happening to the average consumer, and it's terrifying me. And Tom, I know it just irritates you. It irks you, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And, it used to just be around Christmas time when we would look for that UPS message or that FedEx message to say, you have a package waiting to be delivered. And it's propagated from there into now them being able to tell who your email provider is and sending you messages to make it look like you're not receiving emails.
Yeah, so let me set the scene for you. And this has happened to me. This happens to me almost daily. You open your email, your AOL, God forbid, or your MSN or your Gmail, whatever it is. You open up your email and you see a message. It's screaming out to you, Tom. It's from your bank. And you open that because, hey, that's my bank.
It's our money.
Yeah, we're good friends, me and the bank, me and the bankers. We hang out. I mean, they get all my money. So you think this is completely legit, and it happens to everyone, Tom. It doesn't matter if you're a pro or not. It says, hey, Tom, there's an urgent problem with your bank account. You're going to click that email, aren't you?
I tell you, they make it look so enticing. They have the proper logos in there and the proper verbiage, and it looks like there is certainly an issue with your money. And it's time we take care of that right away. We got to click on that link and find out what's going on. But
here's the but, people.
Yeah, clicking on that link is not a good thing. Hovering over the link, that might be a better idea.
And why is that, Tom? Why would you hover?
Well, when we hover over the link, and of course taking your mouse over your cursor over the link and not clicking on it, it will show you a preview of where that link will take you. And most often, it's not your bank.
So you mean, Tom, when you hover over it and there's 9,000 characters on that little URL, that's probably not a legitimate link.
Yeah. Allegiance IP Advertisers is typically not the website for SunTrust Bank.
You're exactly right, folks. So it's very critical that when you hover over that sucker, you want to make sure that is in fact your bank. But actually, let me even back up a little further. Your bank is not going to send you an email and tell you that there's a problem with your account, or do they?
Most often they don't, unless you have that selected. I know some banks, some smaller banks will allow that, but you're right. If there's an issue, they're not going to solicit you for your information. They've already got it.
You're right, and that's what's happening. So when you click this, all innocent like, you click it, you want to get to the root of the problem. Tom, they're asking you for your account number and maybe the last four or whatever of your social, and unfortunately, people are falling for this, typing it in, clicking submit, and then guess what, Tom?
Trouble awry.
Trouble and trouble on the dark web. There's these folks, nefarious, we'll call them, because I love that word.
I tell you, and it's not just, we can't put the blame on anyone. It's almost happened to me. I got an email that was very, very convincing that there was an issue with my business's account. And my first thought is panic.
Right.
But thankfully, and we deal with this with our clients all the time, so it allowed me to take a step back and look at what was going on. And it was awfully strange to be getting an email from an email address that had nothing to do with my my hosted account there. So
it's freaky, and it's happening way too often. And listen, even as crooks keep finding a different way to do it, and I call them cyber thugs. So they may try your email, and they may try your cell phone. In fact, we have a great question towards the end of the show from Ralph in Muskegon, who's writing in about some goofy phone calls he's been receiving. So we'll get into that.
I'm stuck on cyber thugs. I
like cyber thugs. Yeah. Isn't that fun?
That's really appropriate.
Yeah, it's either that or jackasses, Tom. But this is a family show for the most part.
That's right.
We try.
Yep. But no, cyber thugs is exactly a good way to put it, because they're trying to take advantage of those who panic quickly, who don't have the resources to lean on to someone else to call and say, is this something I should be concerned with?
Right. Or, I think everyone has a kind of a false sense of security the second they're on the internet. And I think that, having access to all of this stuff online just kind of makes us feel like, oh, it's safe. If it's online, it's safe. I can click here and go here. And if I click an email, I don't think that we're as on guard as we need to be. And that's really kind of the message of today's show is you got to keep your head screwed on straight there, Tom.
Most certainly. And, speaking of that, they talk about the keeper of the gate in a lot of businesses, and that's the person who's the first line of defense on the phone there.
Right.
And that person especially has to be diligent, because when they get called for the business, they have to make sure that they don't give out that information that could be used by those cyber thugs to put together an email and make it seem that much more convincing.
Right.
If that keeper of the gate gets asked, who's in the marketing department?
Yep.
Then they could find that out, call back later, find out who's in the finance department, pull a couple names together, and then you've got an email that sounds really convincing because there's names of your coworkers in there, or even more so, your boss.
Right.
And we've heard stories of that where an HR representative received an email from whom they thought was a superior and demanded the records be emailed off to them.
I heard about this.
Absolutely. And you feel horrible, because if you're new on the job, or if you have a boss who's a little pushy, and you get something like that, you want to jump. You want to please them.
Right.
And sometimes that's not always the best thing. Again, look at that return email address. Did it in fact come from your boss? Hover over it. See that link. Is it your company's website? If not, well, you may have a problem.
You know what you could do in that circumstance, Tom?
What's that?
You could pick up the phone and call somebody and ask.
That is a revelation.
Yeah.
That so many people don't realize.
I have my moments, Tom.
I tell you, it's hard to believe that we still can call somebody and not have to rely on a Facebook message or a text or a Yammer or the list goes on and on, or a tweet.
You had me at Yammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, not many people are up on Yammer.
I have no idea what it is, in fact, Tom.
Yeah, well, it's a Microsoft product, but
that's why I don't have any idea, Tom.
Exactly, and they probably changed the name of it this week.
Yeah, and maybe it's like Yammer 6.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to keep up.
Or Slammer or something more extravagant.
Or they just threw some numbers 365 at the end and called it their new product.
Or we'll call it something like Azure.
See, now that is just a sexy name. How could you not be? Enticed
Sorry,
to go with that?
See, now we're having a geek conversation that no one else is probably picking up.
All right, well, back to it. Back to the phishing and those cyber thugs.
Right.
We just and again, the keeper of the gate has to be extremely diligent, and not just them. Any of us, when we get a phone call, we have to be very careful about that. As to not give out too much information, because they're going to use that against us.
They are. So what they're doing, these cyber thugs, Tom, is they're building a profile. And they send out these emails so that they can gather bits and pieces about you. And they may get them maybe from that email that you clicked. Maybe they troll you on Facebook and figure out your pet's name. They are masters of building a profile so that they can use that against you and or apply for credit in your name. I did a story on television once where people were at people's social and identity got stolen, and medically there are people there. In this case, there was someone in California who stole or bought someone's info online and went in to get a procedure done. I think it was breast augmentation, in fact.
Unbelievable.
Yes, and used someone else's social and medical profile to get that work done.
Wow.
And isn't that crazy? But
It is.
That's the kind of stuff that's happening. There's been stories of people getting cancer treated on someone else's insurance.
And you wonder how these cyber thugs, as they build these profiles on us, what is their intent? Is it just to try to get us to click on that link? Well, that's half the intent, because the numbers that they get of people clicking on those links are astronomical. They just shock me every time I see them. But the other thing is, as you were saying, you could buy a profile of someone. We've heard about the dark web. We've talked about that a couple times here. Well, out on the dark web, there are bundles of profiles all set up with people with clean credit, full social security number, all the family information, everything else you can imagine, all right there, ready to go for the low, low price of probably somebody else's credit card.
I have a crazy story about this, and I'm not saying this to brag. I was on, I think Channel 2 came in here once and interviewed me and wanted me to go onto the dark web. And Tom, I'm not going to lie, I've never gone onto the dark web because it's dark, right? It used to scare the bejesus out of me because that very reason. So we did it. I downloaded that. You need the Onion, which is a different type of browser.
Yep.
You get online, and I am not kidding you. You could find anything you want. And I very quickly was able to find stolen credit card numbers. There was a website called the Silk Road back in the day that I think got shut down, or at least I hope it did. You could buy a mercenary, you could buy prostitutes, opioids, guns, whatever the heck you're looking for, Tom.
Just amazing.
You can find it on the dark web. So, folks, this stuff is real. People are building profiles, they are selling them, and people are buying them, and unfortunately using them against your credit.
Yeah, and something we'll talk about in a later podcast will be, kids. They take kids' bundles of their information. Now, there's a completely clean credit score.
Absolutely.
Unscathed, and nobody's going to contest it for years to come.
That's absolutely right, and that's happening very often now, too.
It most certainly is. Pediatric information is being stolen and sold on the dark web quite often. And again, we're not trying to scare everyone. We're just trying to make you a little bit more aware so that you think about what you're putting out there on your social media accounts. Because just think, when one of your friends likes something on your account, then their friends can see it.
Right.
And now they can see your hometown, your birth date, your pet's name. So it's important that we all remain diligent and try to keep our information safe.
And for the love of God, Tom, we should not be using our pets' names as our passwords.
Well, hold on, I've got to go change mine. But no, you're absolutely right. And taking it one step further, when you build an account somewhere, they usually ask you for 3 security questions.
Right.
I often suggest to people that come up with something different. Like, what was your first pet's name? King Kong. That would work. What was your high school mascot? Godzilla.
Right.
Stay with that, and
Yeah.
the odds are that somebody's going to have a very difficult time hacking into your account. We know that there's a lot of celebrities whose accounts have been breached, and that's exactly how they got in. They just said, forgot password. They were asked 3 questions, and there's celebrity, so all that information is readily available, and they could get right into the account and get all the information they needed.
That is mind-blowing, but so true. And you simplified that. I mean, you're right. It's so easy to build a profile.
Yep. So even birth date. It might be behoove you to change your birth date to, per se, 1 month, 1 day, and 1 year prior to yours.
Yep.
That's a good habit that I suggest people get into. And again,
So I could be 1 year younger, Tom.
That's the entire point behind why I try that.
I could take away all this gray hair. I'll rewind 1 year.
I tell you, we need all the help we can get at this point, Tom.
You got that right, sir.
So just remember that, everyone. When building out your profile, try not to put that personal information out there. Your mother's maiden name. Let's not reference that too much, and that will assist in keeping your information secure.
Well, thank you, Tom. That's some powerful information right there. Knowledge is indeed power, isn't it?
It is, and having friends who know certainly helps. And
so I want to go back to the inbox, if we can.
Oh, yeah.
Let's wander back to let our fingers do the walking back to the inbox. And let's say that you do get one of those mysterious emails from Wells Fargo or SunTrust. And again, it looks really legit, and you click it, and potentially you're clicking that link. What else could happen, Tom, other than somebody trying to get your details?
Well, clicking on that link, there's a bevy of things that could happen.
A veritable plethora, would you say?
I tell you, it's everything from launching something onto your computer to taking you to another site that could infect your computer with
another dimension.
It is, and it's worse than the Twilight Zone because once infected, it's not a whole lot of fun to clean up. I've always said that if you have a real infection on your computer, the only way to clean it is to completely wipe your computer and start over.
Can that happen to my Mac, Tom?
You know, it can.
Are you sure?
It can. There's no doubt in my mind.
For
I certainly do, and my scientific evidence comes from your most recent post when saying that Windows is subpar to the Apple product.
I don't know what you're talking about, Tom.
So with that, that's my scientific evidence right there. Is my feeling, my gut feeling, but no. And something else, in the realm of phishing, is we want to be careful of those phone calls, which I think was in our mailbag.
It's in our mail sack today.
The
Tom.
mail sack.
Yeah, comes from Muskegon.
All right, what do we have?
And I totally forgot whose name I used originally.
Ralph, was it? Oh, here it's Ralph. We've got Ralph.
It is Ralph. Yep. It was Ralph. And Ralph, I'm so sorry I spaced on your name, bro. So Ralph from Muskegon. Muskegon's up in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, Tom.
Glad to have you as a listener, Ralph.
There are a lot of big fish in Muskegon, Michigan.
I tell you, well, there's those fishing rods extend an awful long way.
They do. So he keeps getting. He wrote, Tom, I keep getting goofy phone calls on my cell phone. They look very similar to my phone number. When I answer them, I'm getting blank silence. What's going on?
So I think I've received 4 of those calls today alone.
I think I have too.
Yep, it's increasing, and it's increasingly annoying. What they're trying to do is trying to get us to pick up the phone by having the same area code, the same prefix, and when we pick up the phone, the odds are we're going to say, "Good day.
This is Tom."
That's right. And so I've tried to become a little bit more accustomed to pick up the phone and saying good day or good morning or how can I help you?
Or buenos dias.
Exactly. Anything other than my name, just because even yes, you don't want to say yes, can I help you when picking up the phone with one of these phone numbers? Because again, not only could they build a profile for you, so now they know your phone number and your name, and they can look on social media, get your family's names, then suddenly email them and say, Tom is in trouble. I know you can't reach him on his phone, throw out the phone number because it's having issues right now, but you should send us money because otherwise he won't get out of this jam.
That's absolutely what's happening. So you really want, if you're seeing these goofy phone numbers call your phone, that look very similar to your phone number, I'm telling you, don't even bother answering them. Just let them go.
I think out of hundreds, I've had only one that I've ever seen that had the same prefix and area code as my phone number that was calling me. It was, it's not like it used to be where they're all so similar.
Right.
There's such a wide variety of numbers that if you see it, odds are it's not that good. So again, be careful what you say to on the other end of the phone, because if you say yes, they might be able to trick you into saying that you accepted an agreement for some purchase. And now that could be used against you. In fact, corporate phone bills, that's one thing that they'll do to corporations is get somebody to accept it.
Yep.
That charge shows up on the corporate phone bill. It's only a few dollars, the finance person isn't going to catch that. You do a few dollars enough times across the world, and you've got a pretty sizable bank account.
So, Ralph, that was a fantastic question. Thank you for writing into our mail sack, and thankful that we could reach into the sack and pull your name out today.
Absolutely, Ralph.
I just love saying the word sack.
I tell you, it reminds me of the chocolate sack. I'm there again. You're getting me hungry, Tom.
Tom, we have treats here at the On Target Podcasting Studios.
And treats you have, I tell you, quite a setup you've got here, Tom.
You're making me blush again, Tom. This is happening every episode.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you build out something so impressive.
Oh, thank you.
So
listen, some great discussion today about keeping yourself safe from these phishing cyber thugs. So I'm asking you to be just diligent, right? Pay attention. Don't click stuff that doesn't look right after you hover over it. If you do, Tom, what should they do? Like if somebody did accidentally click one of these and they notice their machine's running slower, or God forbid something else is happening, like pop-ups all over their machine, what do they do next?
One of the first things you should do is make sure you're running your virus scans and your anti-malware scans, but with so many different possibilities of what's going on out there, it might be best to pick up the phone and call a friend who might know a little bit more about it.
I think you know a little bit about it, don't you, Tom?
We do at Advanced System Solutions. That's the kind of calls we field all the time, but I know that you are constantly plagued with security questions over at On Target.
I am.
And since you have so much to do with the web, we like to consider ourselves your friend.
We are your friend.
Exactly. So if you ever need assistance, if you ever have a question, I always say we love talking technology.
Sure.
That's why we're here.
Absolutely, Tom. Where can folks find you?
AdvancedSystemSolutions.com.
And you can find more about me at OnTargetDigitalMarketing.com. And thank you, folks, all 11 of you who tuned in. We had a big show last time.
I'm going to have to go put my fishing poles away.
It's getting crazy. We're going to have to get back to work.
I tell you.
But thanks so much for listening to the Tom Squared Tech Talk podcast. We had a great time. I hope you did too. We'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
This podcast was recorded at the On Target Podcasting Studio.